Welcome back, listeners, to the T.R.O.N Podcast, the Randomness of Nothing. This is your host, Rashad Woods, and today I have a very special guest today. She's the creator of the Healing Through Soul Intelligence Method, and she's been featured in newspapers such as the Los Angeles Tribune, and is a best-selling author as well, too. Kristine Genovese, thank you very much.
Oh, I'm so excited to be here today. Yeah, it's really kind of weird to, go and be on a cover of a magazine. Like I'm featured in the current issue of Best Holistic Life. And my kids are like, Mom, seriously, you're on the cover of a magazine? My kids are like grown in their 30s. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like, what? I know. It's bizarre.
Right. Well, the thing is about it is like life works mysteriously, right? So it's very important that chapters never end and you're ultimately writing your own story in real time, right? So you get to decide, and everybody hits that moment where, am I fulfilling my full potential? And you are doing a great job of teaching people to really unlock those stuck paths and how the emotional well-being connects to the physical well-being. So please, I'd love for you to tell your story.
Oh my gosh, absolutely. Well, first of all, I didn't just, wake up one day and come out of the spiritual closet. I'm a pretty grounded businesswoman, and I was a corporate turnaround specialist for most of my career. So helping companies figure out, what needed to change from people, process, or technology so they can meet the business outcome.
Right.
And long about March of 2020, when the whole world came to a screeching halt, my life took a dramatic turn. I got a call. I was on my last corporate turnaround, although I didn't realize it was going to be so abrupt, my last. But I got a call from the head of HR letting me know my services were no longer needed. And I was in complete shock because I had just gotten a performance bonus. We were on year one of a planned 3-year turnaround. And we were starting to make the turn. So I was like, what? So I texted my boss. I go, I just got fired. He goes, me too. I'm like, what? So basically what happened, we had prepared a board deck letting the CEO know that had we been able to hire the number of people we needed in the last quarter of the year, we not only would have made the Q1 number, we would have exceeded it. So what he did is he took our board deck. He went into the board meeting. This was a Thursday that I got fired. He went into the board meeting on a Monday and proceeded to tell the board that my boss and I didn't hire enough people, and he went on a hiring spree. It was totally planned. You're like, what? Oh my God, right?
Wow.
So, karma has a way of working things out. There was a board investigation. He was removed from office. He put a crony in his place, and they summarily ran the company into the ground. It doesn't exist today. So, stuff happens.
Jeez.
But what happened to me? Because this is about me, right?
Yeah, woo. It's a deep story. That could really throw somebody off the deep end, a traumatic moment like that. So, I'm looking forward to hearing about you.
Well, we'll throw a little more emotion into it. When I got the call, I was at the an oncologist's office because my now husband at the time was getting a biopsy for prostate cancer, which he did have. So I went through all the emotions, right? Like the freak out, I'm the breadwinner. It's my benefits. What are we going to do? Oh my God. Right. So there was an awful lot going on, but I, obviously looking back now, I understand why it had to happen. Sometimes you call it like your tower moment where everything crashes, right? You have to become the Phoenix rising.
Without question.
And, right. And so, I really feel like the divine plucked me out of corporate America because otherwise I'd still be there. And he's like, we got other plans for you. Come over on this side. So what I did is I really spent a lot of time in prayer and meditation, right? And I feel like prayer is asking, for what you want or the answers. And then meditation allows you to hear them, getting quiet enough to receive the answers.
That's beautiful.
Right. So I think those things work hand in hand. Yeah. And so I remember this one really powerful meditation. I had tears streaming down my face, and I knew I couldn't go back into corporate America. And that's really when the soul intelligence method came through me. And I do believe that was, the divine putting information, or allowing me to remember maybe something I knew how to do at one time. So, being, in coaching, in people development, in the roles that I did, I was always figuring out what are those underlying energies that are holding this company back? Like what's holding this team back? What's holding the company back? Right. And I learned, years before how to use a book of charts and a pendulum to shift energy. So I knew I
Mhm.
had this ability. And I think people are always like, what do you mean you can shift energy? I'm like, well, we got to rewind the clock to like elementary school. Okay.
Yeah, I saw that interview when you talked about that.
Right.
Right.
We're all protons, neutrons, electrons vibrating in an electromagnetic field. We are all energy. The only
Yes.
way you and I are communicating right now is a transfer of information via frequency, energy.
Yes.
People are
Yes.
hearing us, receiving it through the phone or on their laptop,
Yes.
between frequency and energy. And I think we forget that because we're physical, we're corporal, right?
Absolutely.
So the soul intelligence method, what it does is it allows me to figure out what are the underlying root causes of dis-ease or dysfunction or the dissonance in the physical body causing that in the first place. And it's founded in science. There's something that was documented in the
Yes.
1950s is called bioenergetics. Okay. And that was developed by Dr. Alexander Lowen. And basically,
Yes, I
what
saw that.
bioenergetics is, okay, is the correlation between your physical well being and your mental and emotional well being, which to me, being a New Yorker, is really common sense, right? You don't feel well
Right.
physically, mentally, emotionally, you're not doing so hot. All right. So, the other cool thing is that we have the ability to shift things up and out of our body every day, just like we have the ability to receive things within our body every day. And
Right.
I think we have to really start to think about, how our bodies function. I mean, we're mostly water. We have electricity running through our body. Even Einstein said the future of medicine is frequency. We're using frequency now to
Right.
destroy the outer membrane of cancer cells. Wow. Instead of throwing, harmful drugs in our body to try and kill them. So
Right.
I think people are finally understanding everybody and everything is energy and frequency, and you pick up things from other people, just like you have your own stuff within you. So I really
Right.
now I have the opportunity to work in the field of functional medicine.
Mhm.
So working with doctors that are focused on healing everybody holistically, right? And looking at
Right.
you as a whole being. And I work on the mental and emotional level. And once we remove the energy up and out of the body that's been holding that chronic condition in place, then the doctor's able to give somebody, ideally something nutritionally to help them shift, right?
Right.
Or pharmaceutically or however they need it,
Mhm.
so that their body can heal completely.
And I think, and that's beautiful because I think a lot of times people only focus on the actual surface level coverage of how to get something treated. AKA, I have, shoulder pain. I just need to numb the nerve receptors to get rid of that respective pain. When in reality, it could be something emotionally or mentally that's causing those flare ups long term to be occurring with you. Is there a traumatic event? Do you have stress in you? Are you consistently having bad feelings and emotions that are consistently making this situation happen, as opposed to just popping the pain pill off the counter shelves and hoping that you can just get through the day and then take another set of pills the next day, right? Because
Absolutely.
when you start
Well,
looking at
you
a little fine
mentioned,
print, yeah. Go ahead. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
no, I was just going to say, well, you mentioned shoulders, right?
Right.
So typically that means you feel like you have the weight of the world on them.
Right.
Okay. And if
Yes.
it's one side or the other side, you can also get some information from your body, right? There's plenty of books out there like Does Your Body Lie? And, the body keeps the score, right? And I'll
Yes.
explain why. But, for example, if you wake up with a kink in your neck and it's on the left side of your neck, for example, right?
Sure.
Necks are about flexibility. The left side of the body is feminine, the right side of the body is masculine. So if you
Okay.
wake up with a pain in your neck on the left side, it is probably your wife and you having a little disagreement. Could be, I know you're laughing pretty hard right now. It could just be, you're being inflexible or she's being inflexible, but you got to work it through. It's not you slept wrong, okay? I'm
Okay.
telling you.
Yeah. Oh, this is amazing stuff. That's
But
awesome.
so literally, our physical body is truly the barometer to our subconscious mind. Okay. And the subconscious is running the show 95% of the time, which is actually a really good thing because otherwise we wouldn't breathe when we're sleeping, right? We need
Right.
something to be taken over. All right. But it's very challenging to try and shift what's in your subconscious mind with only 5% of the conscious mind to be able to do that. And
Right.
think about how much time we spend in this head, like
All
all the
day.
things, the
All day.
strategizing, the thinking, the calculating, the ba-ba, right?
Right.
That's only got a 2-foot wide radius around it. Our heart, it's been measured by the Heart Math Institute, has a 6-foot wide radius around it.
Oh
Our
wow.
hearts are infinitely more powerful than our brains. Yet we spend more time in the brain than we do the heart. And that's why I'm such a big proponent in business, especially to be a heart-centered leader, because our emotions are so much more powerful, and the emotions can actually change the physical state. And one of the cool things I work with, is also in the field of quantum physics and neuroplasticity, and that's being able to change that inner condition. So when you change the inner condition, then it no longer needs to manifest in the physical, which oftentimes is the physical body. But I've done work with people where I work on, the wife, and all of a sudden the husband acts differently, and the wife's like, "What the heck happened? How'd you do that? You only took care of me." And I'm like, "Well, we shifted you. You feel energetically different to him.
Yeah.
And so he's not reacting to you in the same way. He's
Right.
responding to you differently because
Yeah.
you've shifted. You feel different." She's
Yeah.
like, it's really cool stuff.
And what's amazing is that your thoughts can ultimately lead to your chronic disease, and your emotion are directly correlated to, your susceptibility to get ill, sick, or, it's been proven, with multiple studies, and that they're like, hey, lack of sleep, emotion, depression, very serious things, by the way. But if you're not treating the whole portion of yourself, it can lead you to illness and injury.
Absolutely. And that's part of why, if you look at how many people go to a doctor today and what they go to a doctor for, 95% of it are conditions that won't heal, chronic conditions. And so that means something keeps recurring, or you fix one thing and something else happens, or it's all related. Hippocrates said, thousands of years ago, that all health begins and ends in the gut. So if you think about what the gut represents, okay, and if you've studied anything about, energy or Eastern medicine, we have 7 major energy centers in our physical body, and they're called the chakras. So some people know what they are, right?
Yes.
Okay. So there's one at the base of your spine, which kind of, keeps you rooted in the physical world. The next set are your sacral, which is really the areas of where we reproduce in the world, right? Our sexual organs are located there, where we create birth babies and businesses.
Yes.
And then you go to the gut, okay? And that is our solar plexus chakra. And the reason why that one's so important is because it's all about our self-esteem, how we show up in the world, how we feel about ourselves. And so if you think about life, it really truly is all about relationships. The relationship with yourself, the relationship to the other, right? Regardless of who that other is. And if you think about, right, you walk, something really, really exciting happens, you get butterflies in your stomach, like, oh gosh, you get nervous, you feel it there. Something really bad happens, you feel like you get punched in the gut, right?
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
So it all centers in the core of who you are, in the middle of you. And that's why most healing has to begin and end in the gut. If you think about it from an energetic perspective, that's where you get hit first. That's like, ground zero.
Yeah, and for lack of a better term, you're going to find out real quick whether you can get up from that punch to the gut. You know what I mean? It depends. And I think the most important part is nobody's immune from that situation, right? I don't care what level of success you have or haven't had. At some point, you're going to get floored by something, right?
Oh yeah.
And so, you hear, stories all the time. Something happened to somebody traumatically or emotionally. They're losing their hair, their teeth start falling out. They get sick really quickly. Or they lose a lot of weight, from the stress of it all. And it's very important of the work that you do, because, it's becoming more prevalent that people are more than just wake up and function, so to speak. There really is something that needs to be done taking care of these people.
Yeah, I would say, what's really fascinating in my work, I'll give you an example. So I was working with someone and actually his wife called me. Like I'm like the last resort, okay? Because people are like, I've tried everything, okay? And they come to me. So this guy, he showed, basically I do my work via Zoom, okay? And people are like, how do you do that? Like, you don't have to be near somebody? I'm like, do you need me to go through this whole energy frequency thing? Okay, it's gonna happen. I'm gonna feel it. You're gonna feel it. Trust me. All you gotta do is show up. That's the best part. Anyway, so I can see on the Zoom that he's got oxygen in his nose, right? Like in a nasal cannula. And that his breathing is labored. Yeah. And he's in a recliner. and he's in a recliner and he can't really get up. He has no energy, low energy, and a lot of
Mhm.
pain. So, I started to do a session. And what I do
Right.
is I do what say is setting up a sacred space. Because one of the things you need to know about energy, right? This is a universal law. Once it's created, it can't be destroyed. It's got to be
Correct.
transmuted into something else, right? Okay.
Right.
So my intention is to make sure that we send it back to the divine for transmutation into love and light,
Mhm.
and that it doesn't land on another person, place, or thing, because we're all like these big receptors, So
Right.
anyway, so I set up a sacred space and we start doing the work. And I'm doing the work and I'm like, oh my God, he's holding the energy for like 80 people plus himself in
Wow.
his like chest, his thoracic area, kind of between the gut and the
Yeah.
chest, right in that middle.
Right.
And
Right.
I'm like, I said to him, I start looking it up and it's like 50 years ago. I'm like, 50 years ago? How is this
That's amazing.
possible?
That's amazing.
I said to him, I go, did anything happen to you like 50 years ago? He said, yeah, I served in the Vietnam War.
That would
And
explain.
I was like, what? And he
That would
tells
explain.
me he's been to, the VA system and traditional doctors, naturopathic doctors, and no one's been able to figure out why he's in pain, right? Why he still has this pain there. So I worked with him. I, shifted that. I shifted some other relationship things that had, surfaced as well, divorce and things like that. And so we get down to the end of the session. He had taken the oxygen out of his nose.
Oh
He
wow.
was breathing normally. And he said to
Wow.
me, I feel so much better. And I said,
That's
that's
amazing.
great. I said, so we got this, wound basically from him being, in charge of a company in Vietnam, where there was an incident that he felt responsible for. And he's been holding on to it. I mean, this has been affecting his life for a very freaking long time, right?
I mean,
And
that's crazy.
that in and of itself is mind blowing, right?
Yeah,
So then
absolutely.
I partnered up with, one of the functional medicine doctors that I work with. And, the other hat I wear in the world is I'm the chief growth officer for Nutritional Frontiers, which is a
Yeah.
nutraceutical company.
Okay.
So where we help people heal naturally with like vitamins and supplements and healthy shakes, and we sell directly
Mhm.
to healthcare providers. So I got a network
Beautiful.
of great people to work with, right?
Yeah.
So I contacted one. He's a pharmacist and a naturopathic doctor, so trained in both traditional,
Mhm.
allopathic and functional medicine. And I told him what was going on. So then he set an appointment up and looked at his blood work and realized the antidepressant medication that traditional medicine was prescribing him. The normal thing to do is if you're still depressed, we'll give you more, right? We're
Of
going to
course.
titrate up, right?
Right.
More is
Right.
better.
Right. Right.
Okay. So what had happened is this drug was causing his stomach to produce so much serotonin. Now, serotonin is the happy hormone. Okay. I'm like, why aren't you giggling your ass off if you got too much of it? Okay. Too much of
Yeah. Yeah.
anything's a bad thing. Okay. Anyway.
Right.
So he figures out that it's the serotonin his body was overproducing because of the drug. So
Oh
then
wow.
we took him off of the drug and we gave him something that has GABA in it,
Mhm.
which for Nutritional Frontiers is a product called Calm Day, which
Okay.
is, I call it over the counter Xanax. It's like mother's little helper. It calms you down. It's fabulous. By the way, I'll send you some.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Beautiful.
for those stressful days. Okay.
Yeah.
But we put him on that and the pain finally went away. Now this man has
Oh
been
my.
carrying
That's amazing.
pain for how many freaking years? So once we got
Right.
the energy up and out, then we
Mhm.
were able to give him something to heal it internally, right? To heal
Yeah.
the physical body because the energy has created, that mass of
Mhm.
energy that needed to shift. So it's
Right.
working hand in hand together so he can heal completely. So a couple weeks ago, I see his name on my calendar, like pop in my schedule. I'm like, what is he doing back here? So
Mhm.
I show up to the Zoom. He's happy. He's smiling ear to ear. He's sitting up. And I'm
Yeah.
like, why are you on my calendar? He goes, I'm feeling so good. I
Beautiful.
go, cool.
Beautiful.
So why are you here? He goes, I want to keep feeling good. And I was like, yes.
Yes.
And
That's
his wife
amazing.
told me the man who couldn't get out of the recliner, who had oxygen, right? Everything going on,
Mhm.
he had just been out snow blowing the driveway
Really?
at 70
Yes.
something years old, feeling it. And I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah.
When
And
you
that brings
get to
tears to your
see
face.
that,
You know.
oh my God, exactly. When you get to
Yeah.
see something like that and experience that, and you've had a dramatic impact on somebody's life, there's nothing better. I mean, my
Yes.
mission is to make the world healthy physically, mentally, emotionally,
Yeah.
ultimately energetically, and
Beautiful.
when you get to see it in right in front of your face like that, it's incredible. It's absolutely incredible.
How is the response from conventional doctors about methods like these? Like, because is there a conflict of a physician or a traditional doctor that says, we shouldn't do this, or have they come more along on board as they've seen results in their patients?
Well, I I would say it depends what type of doctor we're talking about. So
Okay.
when we talk about functional medicine or integrated medicine, it's usually a doctor that has also been trained in nutrition and other ways to naturally heal the body and using alternative methods, like red light therapy for pain, other, hyperbaric
Right. Right.
oxygen. Like there's a lot of different things that you can do to try and help heal the body. And if you go back and you kind of study where, the money and funding for medical schools came from, it came from the petroleum industry, way back when, Rockefeller days.
Oh, wow.
And they took over funding the medical
That
schools
makes
and
sense.
pushing their pharmaceutical based, petroleum based pharmaceuticals into medical centers or medical schools. So, and they discredited
Okay.
natural ways of healing. So it's kind of coming back the other way around. People are looking for answers because I will say traditional allopathic medicine, you're bleeding, you're having a heart attack, you broke something, get to the hospital,
Yeah.
right? We're great at acute care.
Without question.
What we are
Without
not good
question.
at in this country is healing chronic conditions. So really looking at how
Right.
do we heal those things, right? How do we get them
Right.
shifted up and out? And if you look at what the real root causes of dis-ease are, right? It's energy, emotion. Energy that's no longer in motion is what pools in the physical body and causes the dis-ease, the dysfunction, or the dissonance. So it's
I
getting to
saw
what
that.
are those things, right? It's getting
Right.
underneath it and then giving the body what it needs to heal. It's an amazing machine. That's what it's built to do, right?
Yeah.
And if you look at the key causes, okay, what contributes to us, having those trapped emotions, whether that's old trauma or old patterns or negative energies, emotions, self-limiting beliefs, all that stuff that's been impacted. But you also look at the conditions that we live in today. First
Right.
big one that causes most of our challenges is stress. We are
Oh, no doubt.
constantly in fight or flight in this country, in particular. Even something as simple as the cell phone dings, you got to look, okay?
Right.
Seriously, that's throwing your
Right.
body into, oh, okay.
Yeah.
But when you
Right.
think about it, it is really stress. And when our bodies are stressed and in fear, that pushes your body's ability, it suppresses your immune system because it takes so much energy. Okay.
Right.
And you're constantly in that, I gotta protect or attack. And so your nervous system can't calm down.
Right.
And that drops your body's ability to fight dis-ease off. That's why it's able
Oh,
to pull
man.
in the body. Then you look at like poor nutrition, right? Our soils have been depleted in this country since the 30s. We know it. So when, let's throw another little tidbit in here. So when the nicotine companies got too much pressure and they had to go out of business, they purchased food companies and they hired the same people that made people addicted to cigarettes work on addicting people to food and sugar and liquid sugar and high fructose
Wow.
corn syrups and all the stuff and got us addicted to junk food. It's either food or it's
Right.
junk. There's no in between.
Right.
So you start going back and you look and you're like, oh my God. Like I remember growing up, and this is going to date myself, but the Brady Bunch, they're all skinny. This is a skinny white family, right?
Right.
Okay. And then you start looking, and we started to get a little bit older. You look at like Roseanne, they're huge. Okay. Because it was reflecting what America looked like.
Yeah.
And it's kind of interesting. So you got stress, you've got poor nutrition, toxicity. So toxicity comes in many forms. Okay. It can be what you physically clean your house with chemicals. Roundup is an actual endocrine disruptor.
Right.
Right. In the grass, in the soils, affecting the
Yes.
food anyway. Toxicity can also be, not only the air quality and things like that. It can be, what are you reading? What are you listening to? Who are you around? When that phone rings and you see that one person's name on there and you're like, oh, I don't know if I want to answer right now. That's an energy vampire. Okay. That is someone that's going to suck it right out of you. That's toxicity, right?
Yes. Right.
Yeah.
Right. You're absolutely correct.
And then
150% correct.
the next factor is really sitting is the new smoking. We are too sedentary. Most of us do not exercise and do not go out. Even just walking would be great, to
Yes.
move energy through the body somehow, right? We're
Mhm.
disconnected from the earth, so being like grounding, like I can't tell you how calming being at the beach is because you get in that natural rhythm of the divine, the
Beautiful.
tides and the wind. There's a lot of things that you can do. The last thing that you can't really help is genetics, but that only makes up 5% of what causes you to experience an illness or a physical condition.
It's that low,
5%.
really? I didn't know that.
The rest of it is lifestyle, which we have the power to shift, right?
Right.
Adding some
Right.
simple practices into your day, whether that's going out and getting the sun on your face first thing in the morning, like a dog does, like laying out there.
Mhm.
You get really good, it stimulates vitamin D production in your body, which vitamin D is actually a hormone that helps you feel good. I don't know. I see our technology might be spinning slightly, but hey, we're going to keep going.
Yeah.
So it's
No, you're
doing
fine.
those
No, listen, we plow through.
it's doing those small things, right? Getting up and meditating or praying every day, journaling, getting
Mhm.
yourself connected to you. And I think, probably what I'm most famous for saying is self-care isn't selfish, it's sacred. And
Right.
when you really decide to take care of yourself, whatever that means to you, I used
Yeah.
to think it was like taking a bath. Like now it's a lot of other things. But when you really put you first, right? Then you've got the energy to help other people,
Said self-care is like taking a bath.
I used to think that, right? What did I know?
Basic 101, right? Just clean yourself. You'll be better.
But truly water is very healing. And so
Yeah.
like in the morning, it gets your day set.
Oh,
In the
without question.
evening, it's like washing the day off. So truly,
Mhm.
I mean, something as simple as like a shower can be super
Mhm.
impactful if you use it with that intention, right?
Absolutely.
But it's really about taking care of you. And when you decide to take care of yourself, you have to remember you're not only helping you, you're helping everyone around you. And you could be
Yes.
helping people on the other side of the world and not know it. And that's because of quantum physics. So if you've heard of the butterfly effect, that means if there is a butterfly on one side of the world that dramatically changes its flight pattern, it could literally cause a tsunami on the other side of the world because we're all connected.
Right.
Um, and that's
Right.
probably what's going on with this freaking Arctic blast. I'm going to blame it on a butterfly.
Well,
we
what's that?
There was a butterfly that probably went into somebody's Mai Tai and
Yeah.
totally got messed up and dramatically shifted the
And
jet stream.
completely changing the world. What's that one story? It's really old, and I cannot remember the name of it. Where like they went back in history to see like dinosaurs, but they were like, don't touch anything, stay on like that one path. And then one person
Mm-hmm.
like stepped. Maybe that is the bug. I don't remember the specific story. And then somebody like stepped on like a bug, and then everything changed in history. And then like the
Yes.
complete like so that's how sensitive time and space and I think the big thing for me is you have to start thinking outside of your day-to-day trials and sort of quote unquote tribulations, because it's very easy for people to go on cruise control, so to speak, kids activities, work, life, wake up and do the exact same thing, and then just be masking over something that really needed to pay close attention to it.
Yeah, I would say, one of my mentors is Dr. Joe Dispenza, right? And
Mhm.
basically, when we do that, you're creating the same neural pathways every single day. And so, if
Right.
you really want to change and you really want to shift, you have to do something internally for that to happen externally.
Right.
And most of us rely on our past experiences, and that's what we see every single day. That's why every day seems almost the same, kind of like the Truman Show
I was
or
Yeah,
Groundhog
or
Day.
like or that Nine Inch
That
Nails
damn
song.
groundhog's going to come up pretty soon. February
Yeah.
2nd, we're close.
Oh
Anyway,
my goodness.
we don't want to have it be like Groundhog Day and Bill Murray and everything happens the same way. So you have
Goodness
to
no.
do something different internally, right? And
Yes.
look at what that future possibility is. If we can kind of operate from the future as opposed to operating from our past and envisioning our life the way we want it, you can use a tool that I actually have on my website that's free called the Sacred Soul Script, where you actually write like a year ahead of a year from now, and you
Mhm.
write everything that you did, everybody that you impacted, what trips you went on, how your life went, as if it already happened with a lot of emotion and feeling. Because what that does, your subconscious doesn't know time. And so what that does is it gets your consciousness to believe that this has already happened and I love it. And you read that every day, you envision it every day. And I will tell you, I was on a plane heading out to California when I realized my sacred soul script, I was living it. It had
Oh,
already
wow.
happened. I'm like, I had written this book, Healing Through Soul Intelligence. I was going out
Yes.
to LA to record the Audible version of it.
Beautiful.
About to talk about and about to record a movie, which I'm in later this year, called The Pillars of Power.
That's
And
amazing.
and I had a huge book tour in New York City where I was on a billboard in Times Square, my hometown. And I had had a vision years before that I was standing in Times Square and looking up and seeing myself. And I was like, whoa, I totally am embodying my sacred soul script, right? So
Unbelievable.
it's the emotion. It's so funny to me because so many of us were programmed in corporate America to stuff your emotions, don't show emotion, there's no place here. That is literally what changes everything.
Yes.
It used to, Neville Goddard got it right. Emotions are the secret. Feeling is the secret. It's not just the intention and the words, right? That is the spark in the electromagnetic field, the magnetic masculine spark that collapses the wave. And what brings it into physical form, brings it into particle physical form, is the emotion. And so it's both the
Wonderful.
masculine and feminine part bringing something into the physical. So there's a little quantum physics for you before we go.
I, I listen, I never claim to be anywhere close to a subject matter expert in this field of work, but I know that how I feel ultimately would dictate my emotions felt dictated my physical well-being. And, talking to people such as yourself opens my mind up, and hopefully the listeners of this show, that you can change course and you're not subject to, you can't just blame it on, my mom or dad. This is pertinent through my family genealogy, so I'm susceptible to it, and this is just the way things have to be. Right? Ultimately, you have an opportunity to change. And if there's people such as yourself to reach out to, you're living proof of that. And it's a wonderful opportunity to talk to somebody like yourself and that you're willing to share your story and your expertise with the world.
Gosh, Rashad, thank you so much. If anybody's interested in learning more about me, certainly my book's available on Amazon, but they can go to my website, intelligencemethod.com, and that's SOUL soul. Okay. Intelligencemethod.com.
Yeah.
And I do a free, I actually have a program now where if you're interested in trying the work in a group environment, where I do it once a month, it's really low price point. It's like $11, a month to do it. And I do it based on a theme, every single month. And so February's coming up. So that's all about relationships, the one with yourself and with other
No
people,
question.
right? So nothing more powerful than that. So I invite everybody to go to my website and check it out. It's the first Wednesday of every month at 6 Eastern. If they're interested, they can sign up, and it would be a great way to get introduced to the Soul Intelligence Method.
I can't thank you enough, and I'm very excited for this episode to air. And this is Kristine Genovese on the T.R.O.N Podcast, the Randomness of Nothing. We talk to subject matter experts. And if you love more about this episode, please hit the subscribe button because we have more to come. And I can't wait to have you on again for some follow-up.
Thank you so much.
That was awesome. Thank you. It was very